What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Anora. This is, some consider this to be the front runner at the Oscars this year for Best uh, Picture, for Best Actress, for Best Original Screenplay, maybe for Best Director, or the Sean Baker's in the mix. And it's a Golden Globe nominee for Best Comedy, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. Also, Best Supporting Actor for Your Borisov. It's a Critics' Choice nominee. It's been getting sort of nominations popping up all throughout awards season. It's also on the BAFTA shortlists, so it's doing pretty well for itself. I've actually seen this film now twice. Neon submitted this to me for my consideration. As part of it, they have this really cool sort of like box set thing that unfortunately none of it has audio description. And then I reached out to Neon, and they were really good about giving me audio description last year when I asked for it. They did not this year. They were like, yep, we'll get on that. Nope. Thanks, Neon. So when it landed on VOD, I bought it because I liked the movie well enough that I figured that with audio description, it wasn't going to change. I haven't not liked a Sean Baker movie, so even the ones that I'm like, well, that wasn't my favorite movie of the year, like Red Rocket, I still liked it. Like, I just wouldn't have put that in Best Picture. So, I think for me, Tangerine is still at the top for me, just because that was such a wild ride. But you don't, I think that was sort of what put him on the map, so to speak. Was when people were like, what is this? Oh my God. Who's this Sean Baker? We need to get up in this. So with Anora, he's taken Mikey Madison and put her as Annie, who is a stripper with a heart of gold. Uh, Not really. She's loud as hell. Uh, she's, um, she's definitely not Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, um, or I don't know, anyone in any movie ever. She's her own thing. She's her own force to be reckoned with. And she's working at this club when a young Russian man comes in who needs to be entertained for the evening, and he takes a liking to her. And he's the son of this like Russian oligarch. So he's stupid wealthy and just has money to throw. And he's got this mansion, and she's invited out to it, and they have sex, lots of sex. He's essentially asking, he is essentially paying her for sex, although it is not really established that she's necessarily a sex worker exclusively, like as her primary job. She probably just occasionally takes gigs when people ask her because the money is good. I think she's just primarily a stripper with like private lap dances and stuff. So, but he's willing to toss stupid amounts of money. I think at one point he pays her like 10K just for like a week. So yeah, I mean that's a lot of money for her. And then he tells her he loves her, so they get married. But oh no, guess what? The parents don't approve, and thus begins the dramedy that is Anora. Sort of like a little bit of insane ride along the way with lots of Russian people coming in and yelling at Annie. One of the things that's interesting about her is that she does understand Russian and can speak a little bit of it, but it's like broken, which I like such a specific skill set because there aren't that many people, and it's very sort of happenstance that that she is in this situation, that she can understand them and actually speak a little bit of it. So, which is one of the things I actually thought, I actually kind of wanted them to do something with, because later on in the film, like he knows, the Mark Adelstein plays Yuri, your I don't know, it's the boy, um, and like he knows, but I was kind of waiting for that moment for them to start trying to talk into Russian so that they, like, thinking that she wouldn't understand them, and then for her to jump into the conversation and then be like, "Oh shit!" Like I thought that was a missed moment for Sean. And that was that like, oh, then she's stupid and does not understand what we say, and so let's speak in Russian. Nope. um, so that would have been fun, but other than that, yeah, this is it's a fast paced movie. It moves really well. The first time I saw it, I could not follow. Like I understood who Mark Edelstein was, but there's so many supporting men in this cast that I couldn't figure out which one was Yuri Borisov because I couldn't figure out which one was his character. Like throughout the whole movie, I couldn't track who was in what scene. It's like it's not just sounds like a conglomerate of men who all sort of sound like gruff Russian types. So, and I I kind of thought he might have been Toro, and no, nope. I understood like the separation of characters after watching it with audio descriptions. So audio description is really important because the way that I looked at this film, the way that I voted was based largely on who, like, my perception of the film due to lack of accessibility. And I gotta say, I didn't vote for Anora much, and then I got it. So kind of a failed awards bait on their part for me. Um, because I had a little bit of a hard time figuring out who in the supporting cast was your Borisov and figuring out what like how to follow that performance. So I just didn't vote. I don't know that I would. I think the guy who plays Toro does a really nice job. Um, I like the way he came in and commanded sequences. I see why Yuri Borisov is in there, but they're both really good, and so is Mark Edelstein. It's like really hard to pick between the three of them. Um, but I just think the guy who plays Toro, considering he's not getting any awards buzz, is really undervalued. Uh, Also the mother. I really like the mother. The sequences that she has with Annie are nice. She's obviously a killer actress, fierce. But yeah, this is really Mikey Madison's movie. It lives and dies and based on her and how well she controls the movie. I do kind of wonder, now having seen the movie twice, if she can win, especially, uh, you know, considering her competition. She's new, so like just getting the nomination feels like welcome. This would be a really interesting year. It kind of depends on who the five are because we are so deep in the awards season. There are some people who it's like the nomination is the win because they've never been nominated before. But this is sort of an interesting year because somebody like Marianne Jean-Baptiste has been getting a lot of love and praise from people who have actually had access to hard truths because Bleecker Street is not the best at campaigning. So even people who maybe don't pick the film or don't pick the screenplay still seem to be picking Marianne Jean-Baptiste. And she's won a couple of things from critic circles. So over Mikey. And I kind of wonder if Marianne was in the five and people were narrowed down to we should watch these five performances. Would she win and would we finally have our second black actress? Is Mikey vulnerable enough? And is she sort of like a sleeper pick? Sort of like Marianne Cotillard for La Vie en Rose, maybe something that you're not 100% sure is about to happen, but oh, it just did, you know. Surprise. um yeah, I kind of wonder because I think she's great here, but I I don't know if she can win. I don't know if I feel a winning performance here. It's very interesting because obviously for me, like the performance that I'm going to take away from this year, aside from maybe Marianne, would be Demi Moore, but I don't think realistically that they're going to give it to Demi Moore. That would be amazing, but I think I'm going to remember Demi Moore in the substance for a lot longer than I will most of the other films. Of course, I'll remember Cynthia Erivo, but that's because she's playing the Wicked Witch of the West. I don't know if that's so much because of her performance uniquely attached to it or anything like that, but I mean, you just kind of remember that. Um, so with Mikey, yeah, she's great, but I've now twice had the opportunity to vote for her and twice have not because I kind of feel like enough other people are going to, and there's some other people that I don't think people are voting as much for, and in case they happen to get in the fifth place spot, I'd rather throw them a vote. So that's my logic anyway. But it's not that I don't like her performance. When I end up making my own list and it doesn't really matter, she'll be on it. Like she'll be in my top 10 performances of the year. Just trying to figure out what that list looks like and where she stands on it. That'll be interesting because I don't think she's my number one. Um, I like Sean Baker's movies. I still think, for me, I still think that after Anora, I still prefer Tangerine the most. I look back to Tangerine when there were no Sean Baker expectations, when he hadn't directed sort of like a series of movies that are all sort of similarly themed. When he worked with sort of unknown actors and actresses and sort of put like um, trans like front and center, trans sex workers front and center, and it was just sort of this bold vision from this director that we didn't know much about, and I think that was exciting. And Anora is exciting because now he's getting the sort of resources that he needs. Now people know who Sean Baker is. I'm interested to see what he does next because he's only getting up. He's only going up from here. He's definitely going to get a director nomination, and that puts him sort of on the radar, and he becomes this person. But he can't lose his thing, the thing that makes him Sean Baker. And it doesn't have to necessarily be that he makes movies about sex workers because that's not like a uniquely thing. I mean, while it's an aspect of the Florida Project, it's not really the takeaway from Florida Project. So I like to see more movies like that from him. I like to see more movies sort of exploring the kinds of people that we don't like to explore, that are uncomfortable to explore, that don't normally get nominated for Oscars. The kinds of performances and the kinds of stories that don't normally get attracted to awards, because he seems to be able to do that well, and he seems to be able to get those performances to the awards well. And I think he could do something really profound with his career if he continues to tell sort of underrepresented stories, and not buy into the all of a sudden it's like Sean Baker's directing a Marvel movie. It's like, I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. Let's be honest. That's when your soul cries. It's getting Sean Baker directing a Marvel movie. So the Daniels would be fun if you actually let the Daniels do the Daniels. Like, I'm fine with that. But there's something about like Sean Baker where it's like it has to stay small, And I don't know what Marvel film would support that. I don't know what character he could possibly find unless they let him direct like a supporting character, like who's not really a Marvel hero, like sort of like, I don't know, like a whole movie with like Kat Dennings' character or something. And it's just like the anti-Marvel movie because she has no powers and can't do anything, and that's the whole movie. It's just she never solves anything or helps anybody. She's just an assistant of the whole movie. Anyway, Darcy, the movie, coming soon, directed by Sean Baker. uh, yeah. So yeah, I like Anora. But I've and now twice. I'm kind of annoyed the lack of accessibility from Neon. It's just like, could I please? But I mean, ultimately they're the ones that lost the votes, so whatever, you know. Um, if it affects them in their awards campaign, one less vote, then that was on them. I asked for accessibility. I reached out and got none. So that's on you, not me. Um, so yeah, it's Anora. What do I give it? The audio description, by the way, is okay. If I'm being honest, it's okay. Like the text is fine, but this is one of those ones where it's like the audio balance is not great. The uh, Anora has a tendency to swell with these like techno dance things in a club, and those scenes defeat the audio description. So like it's like there is audio description, but it becomes hard to hear it because the movie's much louder than the audio description. So it's not really balanced properly. Um, but I didn't really have a problem with the text, and when I could hear it, which was like honestly like 95% of the movie. We're talking about like 5% of the movie when they're in like loud music scenarios. But like uh the rest of the time it really helped me understand who was what character, and then I was like, oh, that one's your Borisov. Okay. And then also I understood the ending of the movie too, like because for me it gets kind of quiet towards the end and there isn't really any dialogue, and I didn't know what was happening. And then finally getting an audio description for the end of the movie, I was like, that's a weird ending. That's a weird ending. And I don't know how I feel about that. And then at the end of it, now that I know how the movie ends, um, I don't know that I like all of it. And it's not the fact that it's not a happy ending. I actually never thought this movie was going to give me a happy ending, or maybe it does give you a happy ending. But um, you know, it's not that. It's not the, she doesn't become like a princess and like live in fairy tale land or anything like that. It's just some of the choices made in that final scene that I think are sort of helping your Borisov get awards consideration. I don't necessarily, they didn't necessarily work for me. Um, so actually, at the end of the day, I'm going to give Anora an A minus, which is fine. I mean, I would have given Red Rocket an A minus. Like I said, it's a good Sean Baker movie. It's just not my favorite. I think Tangerine still is my favorite. So, anyway, that's my thought on Anora. I waited long enough and didn't put out my review of Anora that I actually got to see it a second time with audio description. And there you go, partner. Anyway, um, check out Anora. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.